What's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and DopelivenTV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219. Stand up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl, Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know what this is right here. This Trigger Tretch in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl, Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Greg Gray. This is Dope Living TV Live. Let me start off by saying the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. What's up, Jay?
What's up, bro? What's up?
I'm chilling. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. You know, I'm always good. I'm going to be good even if I'm not good.
Yeah, man. So we in 2025, man, and the focus has already started. It's already started. I heard about something that happened in New Orleans, and I heard about something that happened in New York as well at after party. So it's like, y'all, we trying to do better in 2025. So let's just make it happen. We don't have to do all this crazy stuff. Let's just continue what we started in 2024. Make it happen in 2025. And let's all be happy with one another. Man, we got to.
It sounds easy, don't it?
It sounds easy, you know, but hey, it's never easy. That's why I got my piece. I got my piece is the dope living lifestyle, man. It's a peaceful lifestyle. Got to do it. But you know, we had a great show yesterday with a young lady who goes around the country, speaks about transforming yourself, making yourself good. Weightlifting through and making mental weightlifting as well, man. She killed it. Lashate Grayson, thank you for coming on. She's a TED Talk speaker as well. Let me say this before I bring these amazing ladies on. So, you know, we've been inducted into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, right? And so a lot of times where we were just scampering to get people to try to come to the show to tell their story. So now people call us, right? So I get this message today, and this is at 12:44 in the morning. And I'm gonna make this short. 12:44 in the morning. So, you know, I didn't answer, of course, right off the bat. When I woke up about 5, 6 o'clock, I answered. This person was talking about, well, you don't have to ignore my messages and this and that, all right? I'm trying to see if I can get so-and-so on the show. And I'm like, hold on, baby, hold on. You don't have to talk to me like that either. I don't ignore anybody, all right? I'll answer. But then she started going on and going on and going on. I had scheduled it, but then she came back. I said, well, you know, next time, don't be so rude. She said, well, you can't take a strong black woman that's not, how does she put it? That's not being submissive to you. I'm like, what are you talking about? That wasn't my purpose. And I said, you know what? Let's just not do this. I don't need him on the show. You asked for me. I don't want to do it. Respectfully is what I said. Respectfully, I don't want to do it. So I say that to say, hey, man, look, there's a way to do things, people. You know, we have to be respectful of one another, period. And even if someone misconstrues your meaning, explain it to them respectfully and keep it moving. That chick and then had the nerve to block me on Messenger when I was responding. Ooh. I'm like, you know what?
Okay,
I'm good. You wanted me. I didn't want you. But anyway, continuing and inspiring people, man, getting people right for 2025. we got a couple of ladies on here, man, that have done so much in the past 3 weeks.
Ooh, man.
We at number 4. They have done. Look, I I had an eye opener. My guy, that my financial advisor, he came to me day before yesterday. So what you gonna do, Ray? What you gonna do? I'm like, what do you mean? What am I gonna do? We still good? I said, yeah, we good until Thursday. Thursdays, I hate you. Thursdays, we ain't good at all right? And I'm quite sure today will be another one of those days, man. Look, let's bring these ladies on. Let's bring them on. Miss Martha Washington.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Martha.
Hi.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
And Atreeia Peterson. What's going on, lady?
Hello,
Hey,
family.
Atreeia.
Hey.
Happy New Year to you both, okay? And I know you guys are really making sure that these people get right in the new year. We cracking them right off the corner right now, okay? So
Rack-a-lacking.
we got to make sure that everybody's right. We have to. So, like we did last week, I'm gonna shut up. All right, we had our intro. Ladies, it's on you.
Oh my goodness, already so quick. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. I hope you've been learning a lot over the last few weeks. I know it's been a super fun time being here with you and hanging out and teaching you guys. So, just thank you for having us on, and thank you for the privilege and opportunity to be here.
It's our blessing.
Absolutely. I second that. And I can't wait to get into today's nuggets. Taxes and transfer, I think we'll be talking about, continuing on with all those faith nuggets. I'm excited about that. In addition, there were some questions asked about Assure for Life, so we can definitely get into those. So we can pretty much start with wherever. You want to start with the taxes and transfer nuggets, Sissy, or you want me to answer those questions regarding Assure?
Q&A. I think that's important.
Okay, I agree. So, Gina, keep me honest, my dear, but you did have a question. I want to make sure I address that. First and foremost, I've had a lot of people express interest in Assure for Life and wanting clarity around a couple of things. I want you all to know that, first of all, I am available. Any questions that you have that I can answer directly, by no means, don't hesitate to reach out to me via Messenger. As far as the service, it was stellar as I communicated. From personal experience, I can tell you all that it was outstanding, and you definitely want to be prepared and protected. You don't want life to life you and you not be prepared prior to. That being said, Assure for Life is huge. Even if you do already have protection in place, it's something that allows you to not have to take a deep dive into the life insurance money if you have that in place. This is something that takes care of everything from A to Z when it comes to funeral preparation. The cost that was asked, it's $85 a month, and that is for 7 people. Now, you also have the option of paying the entire year, which is $1,020. But I like to speak to $85 because most people are on a budget, which is fine. So that's what you're looking at monthly. Now, that does take care of, as I stated, 7 people in total. Yes, 7 people. A lot of people are in disbelief, thinking it's too good to be true. It isn't, because I have it. I am one of the 7, so it's myself and 6 other people. You can definitely do that. Or if you choose, you can also, have coverage for just 2 people. You don't have to have it for all 7. If you just want 2 people, you're able to do that as well. However, the cost is still $85. Or for the year is $1,020. So it makes no sense to me, in my mind, to have that membership cost and it only take care of 2 people when you can have a total of 7. Now, if you also want it for just 1 person, that's an option. You're looking at $60 a month, and that's looking at about $720 a year. Now, going back to my sister Gina, you asked, Gina, if you have to be listed as a member to provide protection for the listed individuals. The answer is no, you do not. You do not. So for yourself, Gina, if you have 7 people that are near and dear to your heart, a part of your love circle, you can provide protection for them. Absolutely. They don't have to be related to you, and you do not have to be one of the listed individuals. If you choose to be a payer, that's definitely your option, but it's something awesome, as you all know, to have in place for obvious reasons. So I hope that answered your question, Gina. And if anyone else has any questions that I didn't go over, feel free to reach out to me.
It did.
Very, very good.
Any
Gina,
questions from you, Sir Greg?
You wiser, Gina?
I'm wise. Oh yes, I'm much, much wiser.
Good.
Yes.
No, not at this moment, Atreeia.
Sounds good. Well, let's all be smart and be protected. Reach out. Let's do what we got to do.
That's right.
So with
Appreciate
that,
that.
I'll pass it. Absolutely, Greg. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's sage advice. Everybody needs to take a note of that, or I hope everybody get their pencils and pens. Write stuff. Got to do it, y'all.
Yeah.
Did you take your blood pressure medicine today, Greg? Because I have a feeling.
Oh, here we go.
I have a feeling you're going to be mad at least a couple of times today.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Right.
It's hard to get me angry, but you guys have succeeded for 4 weeks in a row, so let's go.
And you still like us, and we're still here. So
I
hey.
love you guys.
Aww.
All right, good stuff. Let me know when you can see my slide.
I can see your slide.
Okay, awesome. All right, so today is day 4 of the faith class. So we've talked about our foundation, our focus. We've talked about access and acceleration. We talked about interest and investments. And now that we've talked about those things, we have to talk about how are they taxed and how can we transfer them. Now, I did get my hand slapped last week because I did not do my little disclaimer. So I'm going to do the disclaimer. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes. I'm not your legal advisor. I'm not your tax accountant. This is not financial advice. We're just here to educate and entertain. So there you go. I crossed my T and dotted my I. Now let's get into it.
You did.
So we've been talking about the types of investment vehicles, and we talked about all of these a little bit last week. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper today. We talked about the risks, and today we're going to concentrate on the last 2, which are actually the most stealth ones, the ones that sneak up on people. When I ask people, what do you think the biggest risk for your money is? Usually people say the market, because that's, top of mind. But in reality, it's actually taxes. And we have to ask ourselves why. How do we get here? Well, remember what they taught us, right? They taught us to save money in the bank, put at least 3% of our paycheck in a 401k, and invest in traditional accounts. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how those are taxed. And I'm not going to tell you guys what to think. It's never my intention. I'm just teaching you to think. Start thinking, start asking questions. And I'm not going to tell you what's good, what's bad. That's for you to decide based on just the information that we're giving you. Right. But ask questions, right? Get informed. So how does money get taxed? How it gets taxed makes a significant difference in your money long term. So there's 3 general ways that money gets taxed. It's either going to get taxed immediately, later, or it could be tax-free. So again, remember they taught us to save money in the bank. So if we save money in the bank, we're saving in CDs, in savings, in money market. At the local bank, they're also going to say, hey, you've got a pretty decent amount of money in here. Have you thought about money management? And they're going to talk to you about doing stocks and mutual funds, and you might do that. We learned last week what the banks invest in, which is definitely not any of these, right? So just asking ourselves, who's giving me this advice? How do they benefit from it? And how does it affect me? Now we can get into, of course, crypto, and then some fix and flip real estate. I know a lot of people who do that, and they don't really understand the taxes. Now, tax later might be a term you've heard before. Tax deferred is just a fancy word for later. That's all of those there on the screen, the 401ks, 403bs, 529s, HSAs, all of that stuff. Basically, they're just tax law. Law number 401-K and the tax book with thousands and thousands of tax laws in it tells your employer in law number 401-K how to tax that, how that works, what are the components of it.
And I never knew that. I never knew that those were laws.
It's just tax.
As opposed to something that we had to do,
Yeah. So if you look at somebody who's a 403B, those are people who are in the medical world, right? Nurses, doctors, people like that who work in hospitals. Same type of account, it's just a slightly different tax law. 457s are going to be our municipal workers, right? So city workers, police officers, firefighters, people like that. 529s, you've heard the college planning 529 plan. It's just tax law 529 that tells the custodian how that gets managed and how it gets taxed.
That's crazy.
And then that's the key word here again is traditional. Remember I said look out for trigger words. Tax deferred is going to be your traditional IRAs, HSAs, qualified annuities, qualified and non-qualified. What does that mean? Qualified to be taxed and non-qualified does not qualify for taxes. So we'll get into that in a second. Savings bonds and then investment real estate. Investment real estate, you could get taxed on capital gains as you have profit year after year after year. But if you're having losses in your real estate, if you've got investments, that's good for tax purposes, good for your books. But at the end of the lifetime of that investment, whether you sell it or pass it on to your beneficiaries, there will be a tax triggered later. Okay, you won't be able to avoid that. And then tax-free or tax advantage is going to be our municipal bonds, our Roth IRAs, non-traditional Roth IRAs. HSAs can be tax-free if they're done properly. Non-qualified annuities, and then the hybrid account, the 7702 tax law, insurance policy cash accumulation. So again, that's tied to tax law 7702. So what else did they teach me besides all those other things and don't ask questions, right? They taught us how to pay taxes until we die. That's what all this is pay taxes as it grows, as you sell it. All of that is meant for them to line their pockets, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's break them down a little bit at a time, bite-sized pieces. So what are our tax now or taxed immediately accounts, right? Local bank, savings, money markets, CDs. We're getting into stocks, mutual funds, right? So what do you get in January? Now that we're in January, you're going to start to look out for those 1099s, 1099 INT for interest, DIV for dividends, and 1099B for brokerage accounts. So that's your stocks and your mutual funds. By the way, now they're changing the laws. I know that people are like, well, I like crypto because it's not going to be taxed. Well, 2021, they started adjusting all the laws. 2023, it became mandatory to disclose it in your tax filing. And now they're going to make it mandatory for all the crypto managers, the people who house your money, to issue you a 1099K for any substantial growth in your account. So you might have evaded it for a little while, but listen, they've had their hand in the pot the entire time. Don't get it twisted. They're going to do what
you think?
So I hope you're doing well on your investments. I hope that you're making a lot of money. But again, this is just so that you're aware. Why am I getting these 1099s? Why is this happening to me? Right? The other one to look out for is fix and flip real estate. So we'll dive deep into that in a second. Let's section off for a quick second the stocks, the mutual funds, and yes, even the crypto. Why are you getting 1099s for interest earned and dividends and even a brokerage statement if you didn't even cash any money out? There is no money coming into your pockets. Why are you paying taxes on this? So key point to understand here is that you are going to trigger taxes on the realized gains regardless of whether you ever take the money or not. So if it goes, you pay. That's the rules. You have to know the rules, right? That's why I put the Monopoly guy there. Who's going to be the best player? The one that knows the rules, okay? So why is this happening to you? Well, if you have a money manager, which if you have these types of accounts, usually you do, you have a fund manager, and they're doing some things to your accounts that are good for you, potentially, but you have to know how they work and you have to understand, right? So they might say words to you like, we have to rebalance your portfolio, or we have to do some tax loss harvesting. So those are good words. It means you're not going to pay taxes, you're going to pay some little bit of taxes now, but they're avoiding and deferring the bigger taxes until later. They're trying to optimize your account. They're trading, on your portfolio. A lot of things happen at the end of the year. You're seeing a lot of stuff that's coming in and out of your account. And again, the goal is to enhance your returns and to reduce volatility in your accounts. But you have to understand that most money managers get paid a commission every time they move your money, whether you lose or whether you gain. A lot of times you get these big old brokerage statements. I used to have when I was an accountant, I used to have a gentleman that would come in and his 1099Bs with the portfolio management account was this thick, an inch thick, page after page after page after page. You have to key all of that in one at a time. The net at the end of all of that was usually within $100. He either made $100 or lost $100. And all that activity, what they did was it triggered fees. So it didn't do him any good, but it triggered a bunch of fees. When he did do well, which again, you should be excited and happy, he used to get so angry when he had gains on his stocks and his mutual funds because he had to pay taxes. And he's like, I didn't even pull any of that money out. Why am I being charged taxes? And he would get so mad at that. So you just have to understand what you own, right? And you have to ask questions. Remember, if you have a money manager, you have to ask them, are you a commission-based money manager? Because under this model, every time the guy moves, buys or sells, or gal, they're going to earn a commission. And there's nothing wrong with earning money. It's just if they're playing with your money, you have to know what's going on. You have to be sure that you've authorized it. There are other money managers that are fee only, which means, look, I'm only going to charge you a flat rate, X amount of dollars per year. If I have a certain amount of assets under management, I get a certain percentage of it, whether you gain or lose, not my problem. I still get my fee. 401ks have these types of fees. And then you could have like a combination of those things, right? So again, you just have to make sure that you understand what you own, that you understand how it works. Because if you've been presenting a 1099 to your tax preparer year after year after year, and you don't even know why you're getting these forms, that's a problem, right? You have to get informed.
So why do we get? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's a question. Let me get some water.
I mean, so why do we get the forms? Why do they send them to us?
Because when the money gets moved, you triggered a taxable event. The way the tax law is written for these is, again, they're charging you taxes on what they call realized gain. So that's basically a gain on paper is the easiest way I can explain it to you. It doesn't matter if you cashed out. It doesn't matter if you withdrew the funds, whether you ever saw or benefited from any of it. The point is, on paper, it realized the gain and the IRS dips their hand in it.
So now,
that offsets your income, but I mean, it's minimal compared to what you pay.
What was your question, Greg?
I was just going to say, it wasn't a question. It was another damn statement, okay?
Oh.
At the end of the day,
there's short-term capital gains and long-term capital gains. So a lot of times you'll see money being moved. If it gets moved within the first 12 months of you owning a mutual fund or a stock, that's going to trigger a short-term capital gain, which is going to be at whatever your tax rate is, whatever you pay. If you're in the 22% tax bracket, you're going to pay 22% taxes on that. If it goes a day over a year, so now, you bought the stock January 1, they didn't move it until the following January 1, 2, or beyond, that's a long term. So for that, the long-term capital gains right now is 15%. So either way, whether it's a short term or a long term, you're going to pay taxes on interest earned, dividends earned, and then anything moving in your mutual funds on your brokerage statement.
So it would be in our best interest to get that long landscaping business where we get the money under the table, because damn, everything we do is taxed.
Yeah. So now we'll get into real estate, right? A lot of people that are into real estate, they do fix and flips. They buy a property for say, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000. They put in $30,000 in it. They sell it for say $120,000, and they, after expenses and everything, they make about $30,000 maybe. So how does that work? Well, in that case, you fronted all the money, you bought the house, you paid the contractors, you took all the risk, you did everything, and then who's waiting in the background? Uncle Sam.
My uncle.
Uncle Sam, our favorite uncle who ain't even our uncle, right? So what happens with fix and flips? Now, again, this is just fix and flips that you buy, fix, and sell within a 12 calendar month. That's a fix and flip, not the long-term buy and holds. So those, your gross sales price, whatever you sold it for, minus what you bought it for, minus all of your expenses equals your net profit or gain, which you now again pay ordinary income tax on. So if you're already making at your W-2 job, 60, 70, 80, and then you add it on another 20, 30 from your flip, that might pop you up to the next tax bracket. Regardless of whatever tax bracket you're in, you're going to pay ordinary income tax on that. And then because it's a fix and flip, it's considered a business. So now you also have to pay self-employment tax. So ordinary taxes, whatever your rate is, plus an additional 15.43% in self-employment tax.
You're killing me. That's terrible. That's
So these are things to know, right?
And
I
know that you're giving the information so that we're aware and knowledgeable. Okay, but to hear this at this stage of the game, and I can only speak for myself, it's insane. All right, to hear this and know that all of my years, I've probably given up more money than I've gained, by doing things the wrong way. And I mean, the bank account looks great. Okay, you can see the zeros on the bank account. You can see it. All right, but if you think about it, after everything that you said in these past 3 or 4 days, I probably gave up more zeros than anything, man.
That happens a lot. And one of the things you'll hear me say over and over again, if we ever work one-on-one, and Gina has probably heard me say this more times than she can count, is I'm all about good, better, best. It's not that what you're doing is bad, it's good. You're a leg up on most people that I talk to because you're doing something. But if you had the opportunity to do it better, or if you could find out what the best way is so that you don't have to pay any taxes, especially, listen, when's the best day to plant a tree if you want shade? Probably 30 years ago. When's the second best time? Today, if you haven't started. Right? So even if for some of us, we're like closer to, one end than the other, let us learn these strategies now so that we can implement them sooner rather than later, but then also we can learn them again to pass them on. I love when you talk about your son because I know how much you love him and how much he means to you. Imagine partaking in this knowledge so you could pass it on to him.
That's right.
So he doesn't repeat the not so good investments that we've made. We've done some good stuff. Compared to our parents, think about it. We've done a lot to improve our lives. I know my mom and dad are always like, man, I'm so grateful that we didn't waste our lives coming to this country to give you an opportunity. You've done something with it, and that makes them feel so good. And then now when I look at my children and even my grandchildren, I know they're going to be leaps and bounds better than me, which is always the goal. You want the next generation to do better and be better than you, right?
That's that generational wealth.
Generational wealth. It isn't always money. Sometimes wealth is in wisdom.
That's right.
They know what to do. Okay, so that was the tax now. Let's get into tax deferred. Tax deferred, again, fancy word for later. I like to explain stuff in everyday language. I talk like I talk, for good or bad, however you like it, but that's just how I talk. So what are we talking about when we talk tax deferred? Your traditional IRAs, your simple IRAs, again, the letters, the 401k, the 403b, the 457.
Laws.
HSAs and FSAs. Now, those are what? Health savings accounts and flex savings accounts. They sound the same, but they're very different.
You're going to kill that one too, right?
I mean, people, again, you need to know what you have. People are like, yeah, I got some kind of something on my job. something about me paying medical bills with it. I don't really understand it. I just know they take money out my check and it goes in that account. Guys, that's not good enough.
No. And it goes on for how long and how much money?
Sometimes, okay? So an HSA is a health savings account. That means you own it. The FSA, the flex spending, and we got to look for key trigger words. The flex spending account, your job owns it.
Huh? Wait, whoa.
Your job owns it.
Say that. Do that again. Say that again.
HSA, so health savings account, means that it's an individual account that you own.
Okay.
An FSA, the employer owns. So I always like to remember the trigger words like him owns it. That means I own it. F, think of whatever word you want to put in there, means it ain't mine.
You don't want me to say the word.
Right? So again, what's the difference between an IRA and a 401k? IRA stands for individual retirement account that an individual owns. A 401k is a retirement account that who owns?
Your job, your employment.
Your job. They own the account while you're employed. You may be putting money in the pot, but it is not your money until you, again, another IRS word, sever employment, until you cut ties with them.
Yep.
Whether you get fired, laid off.
You can't even get it.
Or whatever.
Well,
you got the
if
job.
they keep messing with you. They keep messing with you, you're gonna kill somebody, you're gonna get fired and put in jail anyway, man. So, man.
But you know that the flex spending is so crazy because I never, when I was employed, I was on my job for 18 years. I never got the flex spending, but everybody on my job had it. So one year I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get this. I'm like, okay, everybody else had. Do you know I lost money? I lost $300 and something because you have to spend it. The type of account we had on with my employer, you had to spend it by the end of the year or you lost whatever was in there.
Yep.
And so because I don't frequent the doctor a lot, I'm not sickly, I don't have any illnesses, I never hardly ever used it. And so when it came to the end of the year, here I am with $300 and some.
That's just sitting there.
Just gave back to them basically.
And you don't get it back.
And you
don't get it back.
Like, again, as a tax professional, when I was an accountant for 18 years, I would get these forms and I would see their people's W-2s and I know what all the little codes mean. So I'm like, okay, why are you putting like thousands of dollars in your HSA account? Are you ill? You don't look ill. No. Are your children sick? No. Do you spend a lot of money on medication, co-pays, anything? No. Then why are you, I don't know. They told me to max them out. So
that's what they told you.
That's that.
They don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just following the herd.
Ask questions, right? An HSA, again, is portable. When you leave, it goes with you. Or you can roll over the balance from year to year. So an FSA, you cannot do that. Again, you use it or lose it, which we'll get into in a little bit. Just things that you need to understand, right? So next, 529 plans. Again, save money for your kids for college. You take pre-tax dollars. This is all pre-tax dollars. What does that mean? It means if you're going to get $1,000 on Friday, gross, your job tells you, you know what? Let me hook you up. Let me take some money out of your check before I tax you and put it to the side in one of these accounts for you. We'll defer the tax. We'll push it off till later. And then you're only going to pay income taxes on your net after. So, yeah, okay, cool. Let me put $2,000 in that 401k every paycheck. So they take the $200, they put it in the 401k or in the HSA or in the 529, any of these accounts. And now the $800 that's left over, that's what they tax you on. So yes, it is a hookup in the beginning, but you're going to put it off till later. Later when? At some point, you're going to pay taxes on this stuff, right? So the same thing with the 529s. If you're going to save money for your kids in college, yes, you can defer the taxes to later, but if your child doesn't go to school, if they decide to do anything else, open a business or just not go to school at all that money is designated. And the tax law says that it can only be used for college. So if you pull out the money for anything other than that, guess what? Taxes.
Oh, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
See, sometimes they're structured to where they can only be used in the state
I apologize.
where the parents reside. So if my daughter decides to go to Florida State University, which is what she wants to do because she wants to work at Disney World, and I had a 529 plan for her that said that funds can only be used in Illinois, either A, the funds get taxed when she pulls them out for going to Florida State, or if I use them for anything else, they get taxed. So again, there's ways for you to save with opportunity in mind, right? The type of account that she has, the hybrid account that I keep talking about, I've been putting money in that thing now. When she decides to use it for whatever she wants, whenever she wants, there will be no penalties, there will be no questions, there will be no taxes. So now that she turned 19 a week and a half ago, she's like, you know what, Mom, maybe I just want to open a business. Maybe I just want to get licensed and do what you do. I don't know if I want to go to college. So that's fine, because the money that's sitting in that account, she can use for whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to use it for just college. Where if it had been a 529, I would have no choice to either A, pull the money out and get taxed on it, or maybe give it to a grandchild or to another kid. But again, we're just pushing the responsibility and the consequences to later. We're not evading it. It's still going to happen at some point.
Man, I've done a lot of stuff so that I could ensure that my son would be great. So
Yeah.
I put a lot of money into an account for him. A lot of money.
So this is good information for you to now take notes and say, does the account I have fall into any of these things? And is that the best place, right? It might be good, but is there something better, or is this the best place for it? So that's the entire purpose of this conversation.
Absolutely.
For us to self-examine. Again, if we're talking about financial fitness, I'm doing an X-ray right now, MRI into your accounts, and just showing you things that might be a problem later, right?
No, that's a problem.
Right here, that's going to be arthritis later on. Let's do some stuff right now to avoid that.
Not only that, but Greg, keep in mind, these kids are young and they change their mind. So that there may be one thing he has a goal to do right now that could change, and you want to have that flexibility and not be tied into a 529. So, it's something to think about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So qualified annuities, again, what's that funky word there? Qualified. Qualified just means I qualify to pay taxes. What does that look like? That's money that came from some other type of deferred account, maybe a 401k from an old job, something like that where it was deferred. Guess what? If you leave your job, you can't just take your 401k and say, let me put it in my savings account. I won't touch it. I don't need it. Let me just put it in my savings account. The fact that you took it from one bucket to the other, you took it from tax deferred to tax now, taxable event. So in order for you to avoid and still just continue to defer the taxes for later on, you can do a rollover. So you roll over the account from the 401k because you left the job or you got fired or the company closed or whatever, and you roll it over into a qualified annuity or a qualified IRA. And now at least you avoided the taxes for now, but depending on where you put it, you might still be at some of the other risks, right? Like market volatility and all these other things. So again, trigger words here, qualified. RMDs. RMD, again, is a tax law that's tacked on at the tail end of your IRAs, your 401ks, any type of deferred account. When you turn 73 now, it used to be 70 and a half. Now it's 73, depending on your birth year. A new law kicks in. It's called Required Minimum Distribution, RMD. Required by whom? The IRS. to do what? Distribute, which means take out. How much? The minimum. So I'm required to take out the minimum out of my deferred accounts at age 73, whether I want the money, need the money, care about the money. Maybe it's growing good. Maybe I want to leave it in there for a rainy day. Maybe I want to leave it in there as an inheritance for my kids. Well, no, at 73, you have to. Required is the nice word for forced to. You have to distribute the minimum, and the minimum changes with tax law. Every November they vote on it, and they come up with a new percentage, and you have to take out at least that much minimum out of your account so that they can do what? You don't take the fish out of the bucket, they can't tax you. So now, because you haven't touched your money, you've been diligent, you've been a good saver, now they're going to slap you in the hand and say, no, you better take some of that out of there so I can tax you on it, right? Mm-hmm. So they're either going to tax you and penalize you if you remove the money prematurely, meaning before 59 and a half, not allowed to touch this. You better be 59 and a half or older, or you're going to pay a 10% penalty on top of your taxes. So the only window there where you don't pay the penalty is 59 and a half to 73. So
that's qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're paying a penalty for using your money if you're too young, or not using your money and being too old. So if the penalty for being too young is 10%, what do you think the penalty is for being too old?
Hell.
Just about 50% penalty for not spending your money. For not spending your money. Okay, so if you had $100,000 and the R&D is 4%, that means you got to pull out $4,000. If you don't, then they're going to penalize you an extra $2,000 because you didn't take it out. And then once you do take it out, now you got the 4 plus the 2. What do you think happens?
They're going to tax you.
You get taxed, correct?
Boy, that word's been thrown around here a lot. Man, I said that word taxing you, those two words are being thrown around a lot.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
they tax you every which way they can.
Because people don't break it down. I mean, the guy that comes to your job and it tells you to check a box for the 401k and all of this stuff. And I wish they explained it this way because people would understand what they own.
Mm-hmm. You know they don't explain it. There's several family members who came and asked me to help them choose their benefits and what they should have. I had one person that had so much different kind of insurance. It was ridiculous. Yeah. At 30 years old, you have all of these different disability and this and that. And more money was coming out of the check going to these different benefits than the person was bringing home.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
Yeah, so you don't understand what you own, right? And I break it down in everyday language so that people can at least have an understanding.
But remember, Martha, what I kept getting tripped up on, and I was like that little toy that keep bumping in the wall and it go back. I kept trying to take the 401k and put it in, what was it, non-taxable accounts.
Because they break it down. I mean, it sounds silly to say putting money in a bucket, but if I tell you there's 3 buckets, one gets taxed immediately, second one gets taxed later, and the third one doesn't get taxed at all, that's pretty easy to understand. Instead of saying all these weird words that nobody understands, right?
Right.
With RMDs, what I think is interesting though, sis, is so many people have 401ks, right? And they started them when however long ago, but who is really at their place of employment until 73? Very, very few.
Right.
So you have no reason to
right there.
Right, exactly. I mean, even, you know, Gina, you were at your place of employment for what, 18 years?
18 years. And you know what? They came and they got rid of all the tenured managers. Like they didn't want you to get to 73. That was a week before my 60th birthday.
And a lot of people they just don't know. And even by knowing, my question is, why don't you do better now that you know all these things?
And here's the thing, the RMD, don't get it twisted. It doesn't matter if you're employed or not. Even if you have an IRA that you own, an individual IRA at your bank, RMDs still apply. RMDs apply to traditional, simple IRAs, any one of those letters. Any deferred account like this is going to have an RMD attached.
Mm-hmm.
Not the HSA and FSA, because that's different, but I mean retirement accounts.
Right.
Right? So whether you retire early or late, they want their money, bottom line. So they find ways to tack on rules so that, you know, again, like the Monopoly guy, oh, wait, you weren't supposed to go around that corner until this happened. So now, you know, you got to pay a fee. It's funny in Monopoly, but it's not funny in life.
When
you don't know the rules, I mean, these are the things that happen. Most people don't find out that these rules exist until they accidentally violate one. That's when they find out.
Penalties.
Okay. People need to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then real estate. Again, some people invest in the fix and flips, and other people are like, nope, I know about capital gains, so I'm not going to pay taxes on my real estate. I'm going to defer it by doing what? I'm going to keep a buy and hold, and I'm going to pay rent, you know, get those rents, and hopefully I've got some losses. I spend more than I get in rent, so I got losses on my tax return. I'm good, and I got all these doors I collect rent on, and then I'm going to sell one and 1031 exchange it, so I don't pay taxes on that gain. 1031 is what, Greg?
Too damn much for me.
A tax law, just another tax law, 1031 in the tax book.
I know what the 1031.
Okay, so 1031 exchange means if you have a buy and hold long-term rental, you sell it, and you don't want to pay gains on that sale, you can use that tax law to defer the tax and pay it later. Cautionary tale.
You know, that's what a lot of the investors do. They do those flips, and then they take that money and invest it into another property and then another property, and that's how they get away from the capital gain. They're steady turning that money over into other properties, so they don't have to pay the capital gain on it.
But that's scary because you don't know what the tax is going to be later. So you're pushing that money off, and
I literally had a lady who came to see me, and she's like, I've been investing in real estate my whole life, 50 plus years. She was almost 75. She said, I've been a realtor, and one of the things I remember the most about the real estate class was this 1031 exchange thing. So I started buying an investment property every year if I could, and then, you know, taking the money out or selling it and buying more. And by the time she was in her 70s, I want to say she had 52 properties, and they were all bought with the 1031 exchange. So that sounds amazing, except for now she wanted to stop dealing with tenants, enjoy her retirement. And she's like, okay, so when I sell these properties, what happens? And I'm like, you got to pay the piper. You have to pay the taxes. All of that deferred capital gains gets paid now. So if she wanted to sell all of them, imagine how much money that was.
Oh, that's painful.
It was millions and millions of dollars.
That's
her
painful.
capital was almost $3 million.
Oh, baby.
So she's like, what can you do? I said, well, if you sell one at a time. She goes, baby, I ain't got that kind of time. I said, no, you don't. Well, I was told this was the best thing to do. It is if you want to defer the tax, but it's the worst thing to do if you're going to monetize it at some point, which obviously that's the point. We don't want to just live off the rent. We want to live off the gain and do some stuff with it, right? So this is where getting the right strategies in place makes sense. If you got that kind of money where you can be investing like that, again, consider that there are other accounts available to you where you can still get those gains without dealing with the tenants, without dealing with repairs, without dealing with people moving out and trashing your property. You end up with just the money at the end with none of the headaches. And by the way, it's tax-free. So you got options.
Finally, I can breathe.
Okay, so when you have tax deferred stuff, what tax form are we looking for? This one is a 1099 R. R for retirement accounts. So if you get a 1099-R, extremely crucial that you report it in your taxes. A lot of people just chuck it, oh, that's, I'm not going to report that. And then, of course, the IRS, anytime we get a tax form, by the way, the IRS already gets a copy. The bank, the job, whoever gives us a copy, they automatically electronically send a copy to the IRS. So we're not avoiding anything. They're going to catch up to us eventually, okay? Even when you sell a property, those HUD statements, those HUD ones, those RESPAs, they're, again, laws. The title company has to send the documentation to the IRS. That's why sometimes when you sell an investment property, you get a 1099-S. IRS got a copy. All they know is on that piece of paper, it shows what? Just the gross sales price of that property. You didn't come home with $200,000, but that paper says that you sold a property for $200,000. So when you present the form, now you can do all your write-offs and your, all of the stuff to make sure that your gain, the net gain, isn't that much. Hopefully got all the receipts and everything. And then you only pay taxes on the gain instead of the full gross price. So just knowing what forms to look for is really, really important. Okay.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, real quick, let me say that we're talking to a couple of financial goddesses. All right. They are, I change the moniker every time, don't I? And they're trying to really, though, their purpose is to help us to get ourselves in line financially, not just financially, physically, but mentally as well. We have to learn, we have to understand, and we have to know what to expect, and like the slide says, what to look for. So, Gene, it's okay to take a little while longer, right?
Yeah, I'm good. They shooting out some good stuff here.
All right.
They shooting.
Let's get into the tax-free or tax-favored step. So Roth IRA, again, not a traditional, but a Roth. Roth is just another tax law. It was a law that was passed by Congressman Roth saying, hey, what if I take my paycheck, go ahead and take the tax hit now, and then on my net check, I take whatever dollars amount I want to put them in a Roth after tax. Let's create a law for that. So now you don't do the deferment. That $1,000 paycheck on Friday, you're like, go ahead and tax me on the whole $1,000. And then your net after tax, say it ends up being $850. Now you take whatever, the $200, and you put it in your Roth after tax. That means you don't pay taxes later. You've already paid the taxes up front. One thing I remember from government class in 8th grade, no double taxation in the US, right? So if you pay taxes once, you don't have to pay taxes again. So this is why they're tax favored, because later on when you go to take the money out, it's tax free. You don't have to worry about the taxes later on. Then there's Roth 401k. So if somebody says, what do you think about the 401k? I'm just teaching you to think, not what to think. So I break down, did you know that this is how it works? And I usually draw the squiggly lines with all these, because when you draw things, people remember what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just explained, this is how a 401k works. You know that it's tied to the market. It could go up, it could go down. Mm-hmm. Did you know that there's penalties? If you take the money out before 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty. Yep. Even if you get to be older than 59 and a half, what never goes away? Taxes. And then of course we got the RMD. So I break all of that down for them. And then when you pass away, which is our next segment, is what happens to the beneficiaries when they inherit a 401k. Like what do they pay, right? So I show a traditional so that I can contrast it with what's the difference between a traditional and a Roth, right? Well, with a Roth, we're getting rid of the 59 and a half rule, unless you violate certain, you guys just got to know the rules. That says you got to know the rules. With Roths, there's income limits. You can't make more than a certain amount, which I'll show a slide for in a second. There's maximums, like there's rules that you got to follow, but at least you're not deferring the taxes. You're going ahead and paying them up front. You already know what the number is. And now you can at least rest assured that your money's going to continue to grow and compound, hopefully not lose in the market, but whatever growth you have, at the end, when you go to cash it out, you won't have to pay taxes on it later, right? So that's a come up. Municipal bonds, those are kind of rare and hard to get anymore, but they're still in the tax favored bucket. That's usually like if they're building a new subdivision, for example, and they need money to put in infrastructures, you can maybe buy a bond to own part of that subdivision, and it's tax favored. So it helps the community to grow and put in subdivisions, and it helps you because you don't have to pay taxes on it when you go to sell that. HSAs, if they're properly handled, you can, as I said, not with the FSAs, because those are the ones your job owns, but with an HSA that you own, if you don't spend the money for health stuff now, you can roll it over year after year, and that money can compound. And then when you turn 65, now you can use it for whatever you want, not just medical expenses. Prior to 65, the money must be used for only medical expenses, or you get taxed on it. So some, TikTok gurus will say, max out your 401k, max out your HSA because they're tax deferred, so you don't pay taxes up front. And then later on, when you pull out that HSA money after it's age 65, now you can go ahead and use it for whatever you want. Yes, that is absolutely a strategy. But again, if you could do the same thing in, say, a hybrid account without having to worry about market volatility, without having to worry about the job being involved, and you can still get that growth and you could still have it be tax-free, why not?
Why not?
Which,
Why not?
That's a sweet spot.
On top of which, the hybrid accounts come with beautiful living benefits, which means that you can get chronic illness riders, critical illness riders, long-term care. So as your money's growing and deferring, if you do get sick, if you do get disabled, if you do get injured, the 7702 hybrid plan comes with those benefits that are, again, tax-free. So if you like the Roth, I always say you're going to love these hybrid accounts, this index universal life, these 7702 plans. They got all kinds of names, but just comparing one to the other. Yes, we love the Roth because it gives us the advantages that a traditional does not give us. But a Roth does still give you market exposure. It's still tied to the market, to volatility. There's contribution limits. That's a trigger word. We'll get into that in a second. You're still risking your principal. There's annual income limits. There's early withdrawal penalties. So if we're looking for tax advantages, we're looking for tax-free growth, tax-free distributions. We have access to bases, which is the money that we put in. We don't want any RMDs. Then why not consider the 7702? Because you get all the same tax benefits, plus you get the market protection without the contribution limits. Your principal's still protected. You have favorable access to your cash value, and then your benefits are tax-free to who? To your survivors.
Tax-free, I love it.
Tax-free, tax-free, tax-free.
Right.
I hate the word free, but if you put tax in front of it,
It's
right?
That's what we want to hear.
And then, remember I told you, I want to teach you guys to ask questions and think. What are the contribution limits? Okay, ask yourself, how often am I asked or encouraged to max these types of accounts out? I guarantee you it's a lot. So these are the deferred ones, right? 401ks, IRAs, simples, all of that. If you have a job as an employee, you can put up to $23,000 into this account. If you're over 50, you can do an additional $7,500 for a total of $30,500 so you can catch up on your retirement. For an IRA, again, it's $7,000. It went up. If you're in the catch up, you can do an additional $1,000. And then for the simples, you can do $16,000. And if you're over 50, you could do an extra $3,500. So look at how high those limits are.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the deferred accounts. So now let's look at the contrast. What about the tax advantaged accounts? Look at these limits. A Roth IRA is 7,000 max that you can put into it versus what? 23,000 in a tree. Okay. The catch up total contribution you can do is 8,000. And then they add rules. Okay, you can contribute to a Roth, but only if you don't make more than a certain amount of money. If you've done good in life, if you've done things correctly, if you've got, MBA or whatever, and you're making those big dollars, you are not eligible to contribute to a Roth if you make more than these dollar amounts here, right? So ask again the question, why are traditional accounts allowed to contribute more? And why do they have less restrictions? Because look, even for an HSA, you have to be enrolled in a high deductible health plan. You can't have regular health insurance. It has to be high deductible. Think about, I mean, high deductible, like I'm paying $6,500 for a deductible. My out of pocket might be 8-10 grand.
Right.
Where's the benefit? Right. So again, ask questions, question things.
Don't get sick.
Why are the contribution limits so high for these HSAs? That benefits who? The government, right? If you're deferring all this money and they know they're going to tax you later, they want you to save more in those accounts, not in the ones where they're good for you. They want you to do this in the ones that are good for them. And then let's talk about that flex real quick, what we were talking about earlier. Again, what's the difference? The HSA you own, the flex your job owns. The contribution limit to the employer is $3,000, but your contribution limits are, $4,000 or $8,000. And then here it is, the use it or lose it rule. By default, the way the tax law is written, any unused funds in your FSA at the end of the plan year are forfeited, given up, lost, bamboozled.
I know.
Painful.
Use it or lose it rule. So if you don't use the funds for what? Eligible expenses, by the deadline, you lose the money. And it goes back to who? The employer. The job gets to keep it. So which one do you think they push more? The HSA or the FSA?
Definitely the FSA.
Right? Because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give you a little grace period that Atreeia alluded to earlier. Some employers may, which means hardly ever, may offer a grace period of up to 2.5 months to use your unspent funds. Up to $610 low dollars. Even if you contributed $3, if you contributed the max, they may, in some cases, some employers allow you to carry over up to $600.
Up to.
Okay.
Just raggedy.
So again, we have what do I have and why? Well, how does it benefit me? What is it good for? If I'm saving for a rainy day, in case I get sick, in case I get injured, in case I need money. Again, there's other ways for you to do that without you putting on handcuffs and letting them control the money. No, you control it.
That's right.
Right? So again, what were the risks for money? We talked about all of these. Now let's get into what happens at death, because they taught us to pay taxes until we die and even more after we die. So when you research death and taxes, death taxes are taxes that are imposed by the federal and or sometimes state government. And that happens when somebody dies. Again, on the bold, these taxes are levied on to whom? Our beneficiaries, whoever owes our money to, whoever receives a property, assets, accounts in the decedent's will, or the estate, which does what? Pays tax before transferring the inherited property. That means before the beneficiary has any benefit from receiving these accounts and these properties and these assets that you've worked so hard to leave them, they have to pay the tax before they receive. Okay, so death taxes are also called death duties, estate tax, or inheritance tax. It's just known as various different things. So why do I keep talking about life insurance?
Why do you keep talking about death?
There are 5 major tax advantages that you get when you get that hybrid plan, that life insurance plan. Tax-free death benefit. So not only do your beneficiaries get all your assets, your tag, your accounts, whatever, if you left them a life insurance contract, hopefully it's got a lot of cash in it, then they get the tax-free death benefit, so that's the inheritance piece, plus the cash, and they're all tax-free. I get the question a lot, well, isn't it true that the insurance company keeps the cash? No, it's not true. There's a way to structure your policy so that it grows faster, your cash value grows faster if you choose to say, when I pass, I only want my kids to get the death benefit. I want to use the cash while I'm alive. So you can do that. But the way we structure and advise people to do is consider, and I show them both options. This is what happens if you do it this way. This is what happens if you do it this way. If you choose option 2, which is called an increasing death benefit, that means that any cash that you have inside your policy gets increased, added onto your death benefit. And when you pass, if you didn't get to spend your money or you didn't get to spend all of it, your beneficiaries do get the death benefit plus all your cash, and it's all tax-free. Okay. The growth, it's just like, we that's why it's called a hybrid. We take what we like out of some accounts and leave what we don't. So what we like about the deferred accounts is that they grow tax deferred. We don't have to pay the taxes up front. We like that. So we kept that. That's part of the hybrid. We like tax-free withdrawals. So that got kept. If you withdraw money, no matter what age, no age restrictions, right? If somebody's starting these accounts on the younger end, a lot of life is going to happen to them between whatever age they start and 59 and a half. The chances are going to need some of that money between whatever age they start and 59 and a half. If they had a traditional account, if they pulled the money out before 59 and a half, they would pay a penalty.
Right.
Not so here. No penalties, no age restrictions. You could also leverage this. We talked about leverage in one of the other classes and arbitraging. This is how you can become your own bank. If you've got, just for hypotheticals, $100,000 in your cash value, and a $500,000 death benefit, and you're like, hey, there's this great investment that I want to get into, or I just want to take out $80,000 out of my account, you can withdraw it, and there's no penalties, no questions, no nothing, and it'll be completely tax-free. Now that extra $20,000 will continue to compound and grow. But like the 401k loan, which is one thing we do like, you can leverage your death benefit. So you can borrow against, collateralize the death benefit, borrow against the death benefit, keep your $100,000 inside your cash value. Now your entire cash value is compounding and growing while you've got that 80 over there somewhere working for you, making money somewhere else. And if you happen to pass away during that process, your beneficiary gets the $500,000 minus whatever loan you have out, but they still get all the cash. So you didn't take anything away from your beneficiaries, but you use that cash to your advantage while you're still living. That's the infinite banking concept. Who want to do real estate and want to fund projects or buy businesses or whatever they want to do with this money, instead of using their own money, why not use the insurance company's money and leverage your cash value? Right? So that's an option. So
and Greg, tax-free.
Tax-free.
Tax-free. 2 words I love.
Into the death piece, it's has an estate tax advantage because any dividends, any growth from your cash value is tax-free. It's considered a return on your premium and therefore not taxable. Again, it's just the way the tax law was written. That 7702 was written by some of the most brilliant people because they needed loopholes. They're like, we're making too much money. What can we do? So they wrote these laws to save their money. Millions and millions of dollars goes into these cash value policies. So I won't name names, but everybody would know who I was talking about if I said his name.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine why some people can go bankrupt one day and open up another business. This is how the tax law is written. Remember I said that 7702 tax law, your cash value is a bucket of money inside of your life insurance policy. The life insurance policy is what gives us access to the law. It's the only way to get it. And so the money's safeguarded like an umbrella insurance policy. So your money's safeguarded from bankruptcy, from creditors, from taxes, from market loss, from divorce, from FAFSA. It's so, the only grimy people who can get their hands in there is the IRS. If you owed an IRS lien, of course, it's tax law, they were going to leave a little loophole for themselves. But other than that, it's ironclad. Right.
What blows my mind though, Sissy, with this is so many people have been doing this for generations and generations. We're late to the party, just being transparent, but we've arrived. So now what do we do with it?
Exactly.
So generational wealth, yes, decades, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But these new tax laws are within our generation. Right? So they're making so much money. They're like, okay, we like the making money part, but we don't like them paying taxes part too much. So they have to create these tax rules to avoid taxes, right? So estate tax, some people might argue, well, I don't have to worry about the estate tax because the estate tax is, almost $13 million. And if I'm married, it's almost $26 million. My estate ain't going to be $26 million. Well, that rule came in 2018, Tax Cut Jobs Act, which is going to expire in 2025.
Of course.
26, everything goes back to how it was before, unless the administration extends it, which is the administration who implemented it anyway in 2018. It could be extended. We don't know though. But if it goes back to how it was before, it was $5 million. So your estate is not just whatever money you have in investments, it's everything you own. Properties, investments, everything. Okay, so some people could very quickly, very easily go above that 5 million. If your money was inside of life insurance instead, and it was growing in there, it doesn't matter how many millions it is, it's tax-free. And then also consider that that's the federal estate tax. But depending on what state you live in,
Right.
as I sit and breathe, I'm in good old Illinois, our estate tax gets triggered at 4 million. It starts at 0.8%, which is just under 1%, but it could go all the way up to 16%, depending on how much money you have. So depending on where you live, this may be not a federal estate tax problem, but it could potentially be a state estate tax problem. So it's good to know that.
Yeah.
And lastly, let's talk about trusts then. So there's many types of trusts. We're not going to talk about all of them for the sake of time, and also because they get very convoluted. The most common ones that you're going to see are going to be revocable and irrevocable. So revocable means that if you have a trust, it could be altered or it could be revoked by the grantor. The grantor is the person who established the trust. So if I have a trust, right, here's the Washington Family Trust, or you could give it a number so people don't, so it's private, people don't know who it is. It could just be trust number 877-82235, like literally, and nobody knows who owns it. So, but whoever established it is the grantor. Whoever benefits from it is the grantee, right? And the trustee is the person who does all the moving parts. So most of the time, you want to have a revocable trust because things are going to change in your lifetime. Maybe you buy properties, you sell properties, you want to change things. So revocable means that you can make changes, okay? Irrevocable means you cannot make changes. Once it's established, it's sealed. That's it. Nobody can change it, not even you. So the grantor, the person who started it, is always in control over the assets. So I like it for that reason. This avoids probate. I get more phone calls on this than anything is, hey, so-and-so passed away. We don't know where their accounts are. What can we do? You know, and even if we know where they are, they won't let us get at them. What can we do? Well, if there's no will, if there's no trust, if there's no documentation, it is very, very difficult for the family. For people who have interests in other countries, like a lot of, you know, my people have properties back home or whatever, things they've inherited. It's very difficult. And a will, by the way, is literally just your wishes. I hope this happens after I die. It's literally what it is. And the most, for those of us that are a little older, anybody remember the Anna Nicole Smith whole thing with that she married that old man because she was so in love with him. She was a 22-year-old playboy.
Oh, say some more.
She married the crypt keeper.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So he left a will. And he left a will saying he wanted Anna Nicole Smith to inherit all his billions. And the family came in and they contested the will.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, put a stops on everything, and now a judge got to sort it out. If he had done a trust instead, the children could cry, scream, do whatever they wanted, but they would have gotten nothing.
Yeah, well, in the end, she croaked too.
And then in the end, she croaked too.
Yeah.
So you get what you deserve in the end.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the trust, what I love about a trust, I mean, when somebody explained it to me, it made a lot of sense because at that point in time, I'll be very transparent with you guys here. At that point in time, my oldest had just gone to the military. My middle son was in high school and baby girl was like 2 years old. But they basically said, you can make whatever rules you want in this trust and they have to be followed. Nobody can change them no matter what. Right? So at that point in time, I made my oldest sister my trustee so that she would follow my rules and my guidelines, because even though my son, my oldest, was an adult, him being in the military, being in the Marine Corps, like unthinkable things could happen. So I put my sister in charge. And basically you can, from the grave, you're still controlling this thing is the easiest thing I can explain it to you. So you could literally put in there, if I pass away, let's say leave $1 million, I want it to be split up this way. Right? So 300, 300, 300, and then say the last 100,000 goes to charity or it goes to my nieces and nephews or it goes to whatever, right? Whatever you want. But then within that 300,000, well, my daughter's a baby. So I definitely don't want her to inherit that money because she can't touch it till she's 18 anyway. So sister, I want you to manage it this way. Mm-hmm. Part of this is going to go for her college fund. Part of this is going to be towards this. With my boys, don't give them any money until they're 25. You can give them an allowance for maximum of this much, but do not give them any money until they're 25. At 25, I want you to check. Are they buying a business? Are they buying a property? Or are they, going to school with the money? If the answer is no, they get nothing. Let's check again at 30. Right? So I'm holding them accountable, but I'm also protecting them from themselves. Because if you hand somebody who's not responsible or young or doesn't understand money like that, you could literally put them in harm's way.
Yes.
Later on in life, my middle son started having some issues with just issues. Mm-hmm. And I knew that if this boy, if something happened to me and he messed around and inherited $500,000 at that point, because my funds had grown, I would literally be handing my child a death sentence. Go and do things he shouldn't do with the money, put stuff in his body, go buy a fast car, do something. I knew I was handing him a death sentence. So I changed it to now, this one you handle this way, this one you handle that way. With my daughter, I don't want somebody coming talking in her ear and talking her out of all the money that I built. So guess what? My money stays in my bloodline. Even if she gets married, they can't touch it. They get nothing. Sorry, future son-in-law. Like, but you have to sometimes protect people from themselves.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that more often than I care to say.
Mm-hmm.
People get somebody who talks real good, and before you know it, they take all their money, and what do you do? So trusts are phenomenal for that reason. Not only do they avoid taxes, not only do they avoid probate, all of those things, you can also protect your loved ones from bad choices because you get to say what happens to the money.
Yeah, right.
You could even put a clause in there. My ex, if I'm married and my spouse remarries, this happens. I mean, you can literally, if that's what a lot of people are worried about that. A lot of people don't get life insurance because they're not trying to leave money in the next boo's pocket. And if you get a clause, then you can designate if my spouse remarries, then change it to, maybe they get an allowance, or maybe this happens or that happens. There's things that you can do that you can control. Okay.
So Martha.
Yep.
We coming close to the end. Can you give them a preview of what's going to happen next week?
Yep. So again, irrevocable. All the things I just told you, except for you cannot change it. Once it's made, it cannot be modified. So that's the most important thing you need to know about that. Next week, we are going to be talking about healthy habits. That's what the H is. You guys learned this stuff. I gave you all this information. It does you absolutely no good. Like, I was laughing at myself yesterday because I was looking for something in my computer and I put in a search word and a bunch of keto stuff came up in my computer. I had all these cookbooks, recipes. I mean, document after document after document. I said, well, it's doing me a whole heck of a lot of good sitting in my computer, right? If I never printed it, held it, touched it, implemented it, took action on it, I'm never going to lose a pound.
Right.
The gym membership and you never go, it's not the gym's fault. Right? So next we're going to talk about healthy habits. How do we take all this information, implement it, and then build that savings muscle so that it becomes something that we just naturally do. We don't even have to think about it anymore. Okay?
That's cool. That's going to be a great one next week.
Yes.
Y'all got to come through, right? There's right now over 300 people checking y'all out, so it's all good.
Awesome.
And we get a lot of residual, not residual, but the after effect, So
it takes a while to process all of this. It's a lot.
People are hearing you guys. They know, and you're helping. I honestly believe you're helping, and I hope that these people appreciate the information that you guys are giving them for free. Crackhead for that, man. Atreeia, you wanna say anything?
Much to what we're going to be talking about as far as healthy habits, all the information and nuggets that were shared, in order for you to put yourself in a great position is to utilize them. You can't go to, expect to get healthy and fit by watching somebody work out. You have to be the one to actually physically get up, go to the gym, do what you have to do, and make those choices. And the same comes with financial advice that's being provided to you. Use it. Use it.
Use it, or it will be gone. You guys are so articulate, and the thing that impresses me so much about you guys is that you can articulate what you're talking about, and we can understand it. I mean, a lot of people talk just to be heard, and that's not what you guys are doing. You guys are intentional, so I appreciate you guys. Really, I do. Martha, was there anything else you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say this is kind of unintentionally, but I think very purposely, we're at the beginning of a new year.
Come on.
And this is the perfect moment for us to take advantage of this information and to say, this is the year that once and for all, I'm going to get it together. Free. Either I'm going to start saving, or if I'm already saving, I'm going to stop giving so much money away to taxes or to losses. Let me just get it together. So if you need that help, that's why we're here. We want to help you. We want to walk alongside you and see you win.
You all do that. That's amazing. Amazing. Good work, Gina.
Man, I'm telling you, this, you know what? We have to stop putting things off. We have to stop putting our finances off. We always think, especially in our 20s, we don't even think about life insurance or, preparing for retirement. We just live in life, right? But you never know when that day comes. Brother, right here, you just went to a funeral and a young girl. She wasn't even 30 yet, right? Greg?
No, she wasn't even 30. No.
There were three
She wasn't even 30.
6-year-olds that passed away in 2024. I don't know what it was about 26, but back to back within about 6 weeks, 3 26-year-olds passed away various ways. But it struck me as, we got to, my babies have life insurance because we don't know. Right?
You don't know. And I just got someone reached out to me yesterday. One of my old employees passed away from a heart attack. He was in his 40s.
Oh,
Had a family, 14-year-old daughter.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, man, hopefully he prepared his family. This information is good information. I hope everyone is taking it in. I'm telling you, I want our people to be good. I want you guys to be good financially. And take this information and use it. It's not too late. It's not too early. You know what? Do something. I know we talk about 401ks, but every time my kids got a new job, I told them, get in the 401k, do something. You know what I'm saying? To prepare. And goodness, my daughter, she got into 401k and on her first job, and she was renting one of those storage units, and the storage unit caught on fire, burned everything she had. She had to use that 401k. So do something. Martha, you and Atreeia are giving so much information. Whatever direction people want to go in is there. You've given them the choices to make so that they can be financially fit. I'm telling you guys, it's so passionate to me because I see so many of our people that get these $6,000 refunds at the end of the year, and before 6 months is out, they're broke. They have nothing to show for it.
Yep.
Come on now. It's just passionate to me.
They want to show
people know it before they even get it.
Yeah. And what they do have, what they do put it towards is ridiculous things like clothes and shoes and, things that is not going to benefit them in the long run. It's materialistic. No, you can't take it with you.
You can't.
Makes no sense.
You cannot take it with you. And if you don't know what you're doing with it while you're here, you're in trouble. I mean, that's basically the whole thing. You're in trouble. And again, don't be fooled into thinking that you're okay. Just because you got everything, it seems like you got everything under control, you could be doing better. And these ladies have given us the template so far to show us what we can do better. So people, please, we're taking every Thursday that we can with these ladies and letting them lead you into financial health and financial strength. So take it, man. It's free. And but the thing is that they passionately do this, and they love people. They want to help people to get right. Okay, they don't have to do this. They really don't have to do this, but they're doing this because they want to make sure that we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, we the people are getting this knowledge. We have to be right. Okay, and I don't care how much money you make. Okay, everybody on this panel has done well. Okay, but I think the two on the bottom, they've done well plus. Okay, well plus because they know
doing well and then not giving it away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
know
it
away taxes and giving.
But like we're gonna give it all to Uncle Sam.
I know I have given Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam,
he probably
I
waited
never
on me
even met him.
You're his favorite nephew, Greg.
Yes, I know.
You can change that, though, Greg. You can change that.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, Atreeia. That's what's happening. Oh, trust me, it's happening now. Trust me. Even my son, because he watched last week and he was like, "Dad, we gotta do something different." I said, "You got to quit taking my money. But anyway, I would never do that, man. Shout out to my son Jordan. Jordan, I love you so much, son. Okay, we got this. 2025, we got this, bro. We're not making resolutions. We're making promises to ourselves.
Declaration.
Come on.
Reparations. Did I say
reparations?
I thought I said resolutions. Did I say reparations? Oh,
you
Lord.
did. No, you said resolutions.
Oh, okay. But we do want some reparations. We're gonna we'll have reparations on these taxes, man.
They wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Give me my money back. I'm gonna have my guy figure out every penny that I lost, and I'm gonna ask for my money back. Give me a tax refund. How do you? I don't know the last time I got a tax refund.
Oh my gosh, I have not either, bro. I'm in that bucket too. I haven't gotten a tax refund since my 18 years ago.
How do you put
20
tax?
years ago.
I put tax and refund in the same sentence. I don't know, but Atreeia, Martha, man, you guys are wonderful. I love you guys. I'm quite sure that the audience loves you. And we're gonna talk to you guys next Thursday. We gotta still talk about that other stuff too, man.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you guys gotta get it going. But we're gonna get this over with first, and then we're gonna get it going. We're gonna get it done. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for hanging out with us, doing your thing. Gene, I'm gonna get it right today, okay?
Get it right.
I am. This is Dope Living TV Live. There. We'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace.